Hello, Mark here from Rockin Walls. In this video, I'm going to take the time to show you a project that I worked on in 2002 and 2003. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm a certified dry stone waller, the DSC, Dry Stone Conservancy, a level 2 out of 3 levels with Journeyman, and then also level 3 advanced with the Dry Stone Walling Association of Great Britain, DSWA. That is also advanced, and I'm an instructor certified with them just as well. We have host workshops fall and spring in Hampstead, Maryland at the Rockin Walls Training Center. You can find everything on the rockinwalls.com website if you'd like to take a workshop. So with that being said, obviously, I love stone, so I'm going to go ahead and show you this project here in Parkton, walk you around, and we have some visitors to help us out with the tour here. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'm going to explain a couple things. So this is going to be a kind of a show and tell of the project, but just as well informative and information that you may find helpful in creating your own structure such as this. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So just starting out, basically I wanted to start out with the beginning of the project. In 2002, the client reached out to me, Craig, which you'll get to meet at the end of this video. He had this beautiful paver patio, and then I'm going to go ahead and insert some photos of the existing project here. So he had stepping stones all the way around the perimeter with river jacks. Let me go ahead and put that photo in there so you can see some of those pictures. And when he came out, or when I came out to do a site visit on this project, which he'll probably tell you, he said, "Hey Mark, got this paver patio and I'd like to have a seating wall and a fire pit." And I said, okay, yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense, because these river jacks are all over the place, and these little stepping stones over here by the house, they don't really seem to make a whole lot of sense, because he had these beautiful large steps here. Those are about 6.5 feet long, and just incredible on either side. And this was a new addition. This structure here, by the way, and just to circle back, so this area that you saw was 2 years old. So with the patio and everything around in this space was 2 years old, done by a large landscape company in our area. Let me just kind of circle back over to here. So this structure down here was 11 years, and there was walls failing. So all those walls are now they're 12 years old. But this section here was failing, and we'll get into that here shortly. So I said, all right, really nice, but we need to do something here. We need to have a nice connection between the two. And so I've been doing the cut pattern, and I said I could repurpose a lot of your stepping stones, and that's what I've done. I've just basically taken the stones, and he said, hey, this looks really good. And this was the first portion of the project, just all cut, custom bluestone pattern, to allow from the pavers to the steps. And he said, hey, can you do something over here also? I said, sure, no problem. That made sense. Just has a really nice flow out into the patio. So that was the first phase of this project. Now moving on, his neighbor, Frank, came over, who very knowledgeable, said, hey, you know, Craig, you should have him do this just as well. If you don't, you'll be sorry. So Craig thought about it, said, yeah, let's go ahead. So we went ahead and we did this section here, because once again, this was all just stepping stones, and that made sense. Then from there over here, this section here, well, this was actually all, there was really nothing. Oh, just like river jacks, there wasn't much here. But over here, the hot tub, all this gravel was like 4 inches deep with just metal edging holding the gravel. And what was happening is this corner of the hot tub was sinking, because you're not creating a solid structure. So right here, all of this gravel is repurposed, and all the bluestone patio has also been repurposed. But I use true grit here, so we have a good solid structure, and the hot tub now sits on a solid structure that is not going to settle, because the true grit creates support system. So now I was able to expand the whole outdoor living space. Also, in addition, I made a nice welcome pad, because there was just as river jacks on the outside edge. So we basically did a nice transition between the two. He had this boulder, which happened to be buried over there in that planter bed. I unearthed that with my machine, my ditch witch, pulled it out. The thing was huge. He had bought a couple other boulders, which we also placed here. Now this was the second year, this is 2023. So we'll get into that shortly. So we did this landing, and let's go ahead and walk around to the other side so I can show you the other side. While we're heading over there, I'll put in a couple photos of the project so you can see what that looks like back here in the back. Now on the other side, and while I was moving river jacks around, he had the river jacks around the house, which keeps things from splashing up, and there's a lot of settling, so I would move the river jacks over to other areas that were low. This side here was similar design. I'll go ahead and include a photo of that right now. So you can see the original was just river jacks and stepping stone. Now they had the step over here, which was really nice, but this space isn't really used a whole lot, so it just made sense to kind of simplify it. So same thing, use the true grid, and it's a thinner cell. It's like about an inch. And then also did a welcome mat with that. So that was the first portion of the project. Now let's go ahead and walk around to the front of the house. Now one of the first things when I came to his house to meet him was this front walkway, and I just let me plop a photo of that. It was about 7 feet wide with the stepping stones, and the first thing that came to my mind is, you know, the beauty of this house, all this work they had done, has a really nice feel to it. And how do you shovel snow? How do you comfortably like walk on that? So I said, you know, so he did all the stuff in the back, and this is the last portion. I worked my way out with whatever stone that I had left. We bought one more pallet of stone, and I was able to do with the random edge. He really liked the random edge, custom cut pattern, and then up to the beautiful large step, which actually that had also settled. So I lifted that back up and got that readjusted. A couple things too to point out here, some of the low voltage lighting on the different trees, which you can kind of see. I've also put those in. But now this walkway, let's go ahead and step off the porch here. Just a really nice transition. Super wide, very comfortable. Walk back down. Now here, if you may notice, you know, obviously with the pattern, I do have like a long joint right here, right up in there. And the reason for that is that because it twists so much from the driveway to there, from the walk, I really had to get that to break and get that line to fully like tilt in order to get that angle. So for the most part, when you're doing your patterns, you want to break your joints as much as you can, just like dry stone walling. You know, this is the exception right here because, like I said, because of the way it falls to the driveway, I had to get a little more drastic there, and that was the solution for making that. All right, so let's go ahead and walk around back to the back. So back to the back here, you had these beautiful curved walls. All the stones were nicely shaped, mortared caps, mortared walls, dry laid look. Saw thermal bluestone edging. He did have river jacks right in here. I'll see if I have some pictures of that. That really didn't make a whole lot of sense. And then we also took some of the boulders. So he had purchased the boulders, and we went ahead and we started out. We set a couple boulders here, had a large bluestone here. He readjusted and made these, you know, took all the river jacks and just kind of laid them more organized, a little bit flatter. So this wall here is failing. It's continuing to fail, even though it's mortared. You know, some of those reasons are these just like this joint right here. This wall is pulling apart. See how the cap's a telltale because the wall is basically shifting out. So the cap is pulling apart. So that's, you can see, like, if I can get your finger in here, there's no weight load. I mean, curves going out are weak. Curves going in are strong. Corners are strong. But outward curve is always like your weakest structure. So it's really important that you have good joint coverage. But you also notice there's a lot of like a little gravel in here. And they basically did a single stack. And while this is only a seating wall, it's 2 feet tall, you cannot build a dry stone wall without a back support system. I see it all the time. This is a great example. 11 years and the wall's failing. It's because it was built wrong. This is not proper dry stone walling techniques. Beautiful wall. I put a lot of time into it. So over here, this section here, Craig said, hey, can you, I have this might be a crazy idea. I want to, up top, I want to take the upper patio, and we had True Grit up there. I want to have some steps come down. I said, oh, that sounds great. I really like that. I don't know why I didn't think of that. And so because this wall was failing here, this is about 40 inches, and I built a little taller than that. And I tied back in over here. So you can see obviously where the change is. Change is right here. And that's because, you know, I mean, you kind of have to, at some point you have to say, all right, I got to stop there. This is all dry laid, and this is all mortared. But that structure, what I built, is all nice and solid. All dry laid caps, you know, feather and wedge techniques like we showed in the last video, along with, you know, even the steps are feather and wedged. And then I did this cool feature just because I said, hey, you know, I really appreciate all the work and I wanted to do something for him. So I built a feature. If you have not seen some of these cool like wall features, they're great examples in the Stoneworks stable structure. I'll go ahead and put that at the end of the video, a link so you can check out that video. There's really some really incredible features in there. So steps, 7 inches. I had to basically match this patio to get to that patio. In order to do that, I used the zip level device. Using that device, I was able to determine, because I'm not really great at math, and as I built, I could use that. I knew I like to shoot for at least a 7-inch, and I also knew that I needed to kind of keep it more angled to the patio here. So this first step is kind of more, you know, straight, I guess you could say, or lined up with the step. And then this one's kind of, and then I start to like twist them out, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go out to come back in to get to a certain point right up here, so that my measurements from the bottom to the top match. So this is, each step is about 7.5, but what I did also, in order to, because I needed to lose like 3 or 4 inches to get up there, what I would do is I just really take the back of the step. So there's a lot more fall on each one of these steps, but looking at them, you would not know, nor if you walked on them, you don't feel it. So each step is made up of, you know, steps underneath, so it's like a double stack. So it could take me like one day just to do one step. And I'll show you some pictures. So as I build up the step, I build backwards into the bank, and then I would dig out the bank as I would go up. So start with the lower sections, and then just kind of everything would just get worked up. Steps, you know, I normally try to build my steps first, and then I'll build everything to the steps. So these steps go further back into the wall on either side. Capstones, these are large capstones. And once again, just feather and wedge techniques there, just sitting on each other as they go up. And you can see, just like, you know, once again, this is this, you know, hand shape with the chisel to get that curve chiseled. This one here was all, I saw cut this one because I used the punishing hammer. So I saw cut this stone to get that shape, and then went back in, chiseled it, and then I just used the punishing hammer to get rid of that. On this side over here, these are a lot tighter curves. As you can see, this is one large piece of stone here. So saw cut that, and then I thermaled it, as you saw in the other video. So you can see, so it's feather and wedged here. The nice thing with feather and wedging, you don't have to dress it out. But when you take a saw and you cut that shape, it leaves like these smooth surfaces, or a smooth face. So you have to get rid of that. Saw and thermal is a nice technique. Use oxygen and propane set up with the rosebud, 6-inch rosebud. So basically, this is the little nook here. Inside, it's lit up. I'll include a picture of that with it lit. Just gave them some place to put like maybe a speaker, have the lighting right inside there, so it's lit up at night. And then I did the vertical stone to give a little bit of contrast, and just an angled stone, so just to give a little bit of a decorative feature. But over to here, the house side, the last video I was talking about how to build explanation of corners. So this stone comes long in, that stone is going long back. This stone is going long back, and these are like almost 24 inches. These guys, they're just huge. Same thing. This one is going really deep, and this one's coming long. So by having your long stones, the weight load is tying back into the wall. So structurally, this is correct. There's no weight load against the house. And you can see how on the house, I don't have any of these stones touching the house. They're all off the house. So same thing, that one down at the bottom is going long in, and then I got a little one here coming along out, and this is a long one there. That little one right there is going long back, long right here. And the nice thing was I was able to repurpose a lot of the stones. If you look at the colors of these stones, for example, this color here, the darker green, those are original stones that were nicely shaped. And then the brighter blue ones are the ones that I've basically brought in. And then you can see my punishing hammer or chisel marks on the stones. And over time, all that will disappear and everything will blend together. So these are large sheet stocks to make the steps. And then I had saved this top step here, this stone for the top step, because I love the colors. And this is one that I had personally kept. And I said, oh, I want to put this in the job. So everything was kind of, all the steps were designed to this specific step because of its overall, it's like 5 feet, like 2 inches. And then also up here, I did the custom cut. This was True Grid, which I did for him in 2022. In 2023, I said, hey, can we replace that and do a hard surface? I said, sure. So we did that. We also put the boulders up top, the low voltage lighting. But just a really great example of connecting the two spaces from one to the other. And you can comfortably walk down these steps. And now they can use this other patio, which is just such a beautiful patio. And so on thermal stone today, if you know, when you buy these type of stones or if you were to have this patio right here done, it's extremely expensive to buy material like this and produce this type of stone work. So just want to take the time to go ahead and talk with the client and just get his perspective on the job and what he was looking for and what he was thinking. And I hope that some of this information you found helpful, and feel free to ask any questions. So let's go ahead and talk with Craig and see what he has to say.
Hi, my name is Craig Demchek, and this is our home, and we've lived here for about 20 years, and last year had the opportunity to continue a really big final project with Mark that we have been looking forward to.
When you had first had me come out, what was it you had in mind with the project?
It's kind of a funny story because when Mark first came out, number one, I had seen Mark's work and I knew about Mark's background and how incredibly skilled he is as a craftsman. And so I just told my wife, I said, I just want to find a project that we can do with him. And we had already had some pretty extensive landscaping, hardscaping done. And we thought maybe we can add on sort of an extra patio with a fire pit, because we really wanted a fire pit with one of his trademark stacked stone walls. And Mark came out to do the initial look around and estimate and so forth. And it was funny because he was like, I don't think you want to do that. I don't think that's a good use of your money. And so I was like, okay. And as I said, we had already had some hardscaping done. And he was like, and this is really nice work. They did a really nice job, but this doesn't make sense to me visually because we had bluestone steppers floating in riverjack. And he's like, it's not very functional. So at that moment, I was like, maybe I'm not going to work with this guy because, you know, like he's telling me all the stuff like I want to do, and we shouldn't have done that, and I don't want to do this. But the more I listened to him, it made sense. And I just, again, knew how beautiful his work was and the quality of his work. So I just said, you know, give the guy a chance. Let's see what he wants to do, what his idea is. So he was able to sort of start off in baby steps, like let's do this part of the project first, and we'll both get a chance to see whether that works. And one thing that really spoke to me with Mark is he's very organic, and he listens, and we had input and he had input, and we can talk through the entire thing. And that's really been a trademark of the work that we've done with him is just communication. He's constantly expressing his ideas, we're expressing ours, and we're always finding a great compromise and a great end result. So going back to the actual project, he said, we're going to start off small. He said, the good thing is I can repurpose the bluestone that you already have to make actually cut bluestone that is fitted bluestone, beautiful seams. You'll, I'm sure, see some of the close-ups of that. And so it started coming together. I was just like, this is fantastic. Now again, this was flat work. I really wanted to work with him on a stacked stone wall. So long story short, he basically did this beautiful framing around the existing patio that we did with another landscaper. And then we came up with the idea to repair a bluestone wall that was already here. And the wall was failing, and that was really bugging me. I was like, Mark, this is something that, I'm glad we did the patio, and that's pretty, and it's beautiful and functional, but we really need to fix this. And he's like, not real enthused, because at the time I was talking about like replacing the whole wall. And he said, well, really, there's only a certain part of it that's actually kind of structurally not working right now. He said, let's again try to really spend your money wisely, which I appreciate. And we came up with the idea together to actually tie in the upper patio and this existing lower bluestone patio that was already here from many years ago. And this is the result, to have these beautiful bluestone steps that are not just beautiful in and of themselves, but really tie in both spaces together and really makes this whole outdoor space totally functional. And it really makes sense. Before we had this lower patio separate. This was just a wall and then mulch or stone and then an upper patio. So you kind of had to walk around in the grass to be able to come up and use the upper patio. Now it's beautiful, and we don't entertain a lot or have big groups of people here, but it just makes sense in terms of the flow of the space. And quite honestly, whoever lives here many, many years from now, I think they're going to enjoy this space just as much, because it is this big, beautiful outdoor space. I'm just a sucker for stone, and this is just gorgeous. Some of this bluestone, you're talking about, 3-inch thick bluestone, the feather and wedge breaks here on the stone. It's just craftsmanship that you can't find with a lot of other folks. A lot of landscaping companies, and we've worked with them. They do good work, but it's their type of work. And it's a lot of just, man-made materials in some cases, and very kind of cookie cutter. And one other thing about, working with somebody like Mark is just, everything is just like handmade. Everything is just hand crafted, unique. It's details that you can't replicate. It's just one of a kind. So we're just so thankful.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to work with you. And actually, I don't think it was my idea on the steps. That was your idea.
We did it, as always, together. I said, how about if we do this? What do you think about the idea of having these kind of fanned steps that connect the two spaces? And Mark, he'll let you know when he doesn't agree with something, but he'll also, it was like, yeah, that makes total sense to me. And that's what we did, and he executed it. That was the vision, but making it happen, making it a reality, that's something different, and he made it happen. So.
And one thing also that you had brought up several times, because you were familiar with the flat work and my speed and ability to create that. One thing, you were shocked when we had talked about pricing for the dry stone walls, and you didn't really quite understand that, nor the steps, what was involved. Can you just kind of get into that a little bit?
Yeah, to say, that one wall is equal to another wall is not accurate in the sense of what goes into it. And I didn't understand, even though I followed Mark's work and I saw the examples of work in many other places up at Maryland Line and some other locations where he had done beautiful stacked stone. But you can't see, in just looking at it, what went in behind it and under it. And that's all part of the process. And in this case, the steps that I'm sitting on here, this wall, there are tons and tons of stone that are under here, like back wall stone, that are the foundation for what you see that's the beautiful part. But this requires immense amounts of stone, and it's not just like a quirk that he does that is like wasteful, like, well, you could probably do it a different way and it would work out as well. I'm a believer that no, that's not the case, because the walls that we had done before had no backing, they had no back wall stone, they had no foundation. So it was just basically a line of kind of stacked stone with mortar connections in those cases, and they invariably fail because they don't have the proper structure behind them. So now I've come to understand that to really do a dry stack, truly dry stack wall, number one, with no mortar, you need to have the proper base and foundation, and that's the kind of experience and knowledge that Mark brings to it, because what's under here is just, like I said, tons and tons of stone that provide the foundation, the base for this, provides drainage, provides a stable foundation, and that's why the walls work. And the walls themselves, not just the steps, but these are all, you know, there's a certain foundation that has to be here for this to work properly. And I'm sorry that we couldn't do that we didn't make Mark years ago, and we're able to do all of these the proper way. But, you know, who knows? Maybe maybe we'll be able to kind of make them all complete, you know, one day before it's all said and done.
Well, I thank you for the opportunity today. We were invited back, me and my wife Teresa, to enjoy an incredible meal here on their patio and enjoy the space. And it's been absolutely just a real joy to enjoy the space with you both. And I just
our
want
pleasure.
to thank you so much.
All the thanks to you.
All right.
Thank you.